Hello there, and welcome back to the Mindful Model Makers Workshop. Now we're getting on with this scale scenes. So this is the front or the rear because it's the same part. I've cut the siding out, which takes quite a bit of time, and I've glued that on. I glued that on yesterday. So what I need to do now is to run the glue in the gaps, and then we go across with this. This has been sprayed with a universal enamel varnish, so theoretically it should make it waterproof. It's worked on the other ones that I've put across there. So right, so how I do this, I mean it can vary from person to person, is to first of all turn that round and just glue between in the gaps. So just put a little splob in, don't have to be too much because there is a way I can move that along. This glue is very runny, you have to be very careful. If you give it any kind of squeeze it'll just pour out, but it is so strong. It's probably the best paper glue I've ever used, which is it's called Rocket Card Glue. In one of my earlier ones I have put a link to Amazon if you want to buy it on Amazon, but it's available in lots of places, so not just Amazon. Right, so we're just filling those along there, like so. This is a tricky bit to do live because I've done bits of this before and it's gone wrong. So, but I prefer to do it like that because you can see I don't edit anything. So if it goes wrong or anything goes wrong during the filming, you'll see it. So yeah, I don't believe in editing out mistakes. I would just, if it was that bad, I would just scrap it and start again. Right, so I've gone to the corner. Don't want to overlap too much because I need enough, because obviously, don't forget where it goes down, the thickness of the actual bit itself, it takes up longer. Now what I use is a clear bit of kind of styrene, and I put my fingers on here and I then push down in there like so. And then I put my finger on that one I've just done, and then I go along and try the next one. So the best thing to do is try and keep it up off of it a bit so it doesn't kind of stick too much before you get anywhere. So you can now start to see it form. Now, I mean, obviously a lot of this just gets cut away afterwards. It's just the way of forming this kind of corrugated metal finish that there is on there. It does actually look quite good. So this is it being done live, yeah, I've never done one that big. I've done the little narrow ones and they're very easy. I don't think this is much more difficult. Don't need to go too fast but not too slow, because this glue does kind of take hold quite quick, which is really, I think, why it gets its name Rocket, because it does. But the thing is, once you've glued something with that glue, it's very difficult to get apart without damaging it. Normally, if you want to try and get it apart, normally the best thing is to make a new one. And of course, that is one of the advantages with scale scenes, is the fact you could just go and print another sheet and start again. So, you know, with a lot of card kits, but then obviously this is card modelling on a different level to, say, a Metcalfe kit or one of the other pre-cut ones that you can get. But, you know, it just depends on what you want. I've never done one of these before, and like I say, I've got a competition at the Model Railway Club I belong to at Christmas, and I just wanted to make something to participate in that as well. So here we go, we're going up here with this. It's starting to veer off a little bit because obviously it stretches, so I'm going to try and pull it back round a little bit here. Go back onto this bit and just try and get it. I mean, most of this gets cut off anyway. You can see how it's progressing. Put that across there like that. Get this bit. If it does go a bit misshaped, it doesn't matter because you can trim it all up afterwards. You've just got to make sure you've got a paper covering the actual part that you need, because a lot of this will get cut off because the front of the roof is angled. So, and obviously down in the opening you can just set the knife up and just re-trim and get the shape, so it's not that drastic. It's only because I've done a couple, not of these, but the other ones, and I think to yourself, well, I spent hours and hours, and then suddenly you think, oh, well, I didn't need to be so fussy in the end, but you don't know. And if you're trying to make something that's, and trying to do the best job you can, I mean, I've never done it before, but I always want to try and give it my best effort. A lot of these things I've looked at in the past. I've downloaded Scalescene stuff before and never actually done anything with it. Now this will need to just go a little bit straighter because there is a line on it, so I'm going to try and just pull it back up a bit here and just level it out. It's quite forgiving. Just don't, the reason I use this bit of styrene, because it I used a tool before, but I think that was a little bit kind of violent for it, and it actually tore through the paper. Plus I used, I think, probably a bit too much glue, and it got very wet. So we're going up. I mean, if it does start to dry out as we're getting so far, then we can just peel it back up and put a bit more glue in. So it's, yeah, we'll see how this progresses anyway. Just go back down here a bit, just reform these. Just want to make sure. That's it. I think that's coming on quite well. I quite like this card modelling now. I'm getting into it a bit, so you'll probably see a few more bits, probably bore you with some more, but it depends. It is quite an inexpensive way, and if you have got a lot of time, I mean, all right, I still work full time, but I do like to actually produce stuff. Yeah, I know this is not really my own. I'm using somebody else's design, but I'm actually building it myself. So I like that kind of modelling where you participate quite a bit in the construction of whatever it is. It's all right buying stuff ready-made, but my ethos really of this channel is I buy lots of old stuff, and you know, yeah, there's lovely stuff out there, but it's just going out and spending. I like electrical multiple units and things like that, but you buy the brand new ones of them now, they're so expensive. Yeah, I'm not saying I can't afford one. I can't justify spending the money on some of the stuff. And I rather like the old Hornby 00 free rail, which I'm now, as you see on my other videos, converting lots of stuff to run free rail. And yeah, that will be a part of this when it's finished, because the actual last one that I built, so you can see that last little bit is kind of turned a little bit, so it's going to drop that line a bit. I don't know if I can give a little bit of ease up there and just try and just stretch that a little bit. It just shows, you know, what's going to happen when you try this. I don't think it'd be any different for anybody else. I'm not sure. Obviously, there's better card modelers out there than me. I have seen some, and some of the stuff that scratch builders build from scratch with card is just out of this world. And when you look at it and the way they paint it, doesn't even look like card. I used to know a guy when I worked on the railway, was a guard. There used to be these very small card kits, very, very small. Used to see them a lot in just ordinary shops, post offices and things for sale. A lot of holiday places used to have them. I can't remember the make of these little kits. He used to make them, and he brought some in one day, and I see it, and they looked like die cast, and they were card. I picked one up, it was so light, and it was just the way he painted it and varnished it. It looked like one of those Lone Star type models, but it wasn't. It was a card kit that he'd made. Right, so we're getting along there like that. What I do with this, then, I just let it thoroughly dry. I don't do anything with it. I'll see how bad that looks when I've done it, but it doesn't have to be perfect, because when I've done this building, I've got to make it look a bit old and ragged, because that's the theme of the competition that I'm entering. So anyway, there we are, going along on that now. So we'll see what that looks like later on when I cut off the bit, trim up along here, and see if that line looks back good or bad. And that's it really. But it's very difficult to get it. I mean, I suppose the other thing you could do is you could actually, if you wanted to, cut that in half and do half and half, and just have a join line somewhere in there. I think you can lose it, because on one of these, this one here, I ran out and I joined a bit there, and I don't think anyone's going to really notice that. So, you know, I could do that really. Perhaps cut it in half and go along and then restart again to try and keep it level. But you can see it has run off a bit. So, you know, it's live. I did say that that's what's going to happen. So just make a little bit more on there. Yeah, and there we are on that. The next one is ready to go a bit later on, but I've only just stuck that on, the actual siding bit. I call it a comb actually. And then the next bit, these have been lacquered, will be to cut them, and that goes on the other side. So that is the inside of the model, okay? And as you can see from here, that all gets cut off, that there. And of course, you can see where it's gone a bit out of shape there. That will be trimmed up as well. So we'll have a look to see how good that is, or whether you need to do a slightly different technique in which to get that. But I think perhaps the idea would be on the next one, which I might do, is cut it in half and do half and then half again. So you're only going to get half the distortion if you do that, in theory. The main bits is down here, that they have got the right shape, which I think this is drying out, and of course as it dries it will pull down in a bit more. But right, so anyway, I'm going to leave that for now, and I'll be back later and show you what it looks like once I've cut it, but I want it to thoroughly set. So anyway, thank you very much. See you in the next video. Bye now.